I had a couple questions, or a couple in the group told me they're having trouble seeing warm and cool color and identifying. And it could be a little bit difficult because that this idea that a warm color like yellow can be cool. How is that? So I'm going to try to keep this short and simple and sweet because it can be a complicated um, an idea. Color can be complicated, but that's what makes it so rich and beautiful and fun to work with. So let's just dive right in. Um, First of all, the basics on the color wheel, and you don't have to buy one. You just Google color wheel on your computer, and there's a ton of them on the computer. So you don't have to go out and buy one. But the color wheel is broken up. So we're just going to dive in real quick. The color wheel is broken up into three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. And those are the three basic primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. And with those three colors, you can mix any color you want. In fact, you could do a whole painting with three colors, red, blue, and yellow. And when you combine red with yellow, you get a secondary color, and that's orange. And when you combine red and blue, you get purple. And when you combine blue and yellow, you get green. So your primary colors and your secondary colors. There's six colors there. You've got red, purple, blue, orange, yellow, and green. Those are the six basic colors. I call them color families. Okay, so let's talk about warm and cool colors. So now we have the six, we got the primary, and we have the secondary colors of mixing the primaries. Okay. So warm and cool colors. A lot of times that's overlooked when we're mixing color. We think we have to know the names of the paints. And what I found is when I'm fixated on the name, then it confuses me because I can't remember names. I'm really bad with remembering names. And I'd rather just paint than try to remember what brand, what name. And the thing is, when there's so many different makers, they sometimes use your own names. So then you're stuck with that paint, that particular paint color, or even between different brands. One color, um, lemon yellow in one brand, it's cool, and another brand, it's a little bit more warm. So there's no real consistency. So color is fluid, okay? So it isn't a one and done. And this is a concept or an idea to make it easier for you to be able to mix, to be able to identify what color you have and how to mix it. So let's sit on the words warm and cool. So in generally speaking, warm colors are red, orange, and yellow. These are the warm colors. And what you think about is the sun. The sun's hot, flames are red, yellow, and orange. And generally speaking, cool colors, we think of green, blue, and purples are cool. Okay, think of snow. Snow, when you look at the color in the snow, they're really cool colors. All right. So generally speaking, these are the warm colors, and then these are the cool colors. But then let's drop down a little bit more complex. Okay. So when you green color is relative. Color is relative. So it depends on what it's sitting next to. So green, all these colors can be warm or cool. Now on the primaries, we buy blues. One blue is a little bit warmer, cerulean. So you can buy a tube of paint, two blues, and I cleared my area so I can find it. So you can have two different blues. One is a little bit warmer, spot, that's brilliant is a warmer blue, or you can get one that's a little bit cooler. If you want a cool color of blue, you buy cobalt. So we can't mix blue, and we can't mix red, and we cannot mix yellow. So we have to buy lemon yellow for cool colors, or I buy cadmium yellow for a warm yellow. So I get the cool color is lemon, and in the colors that we're using, they call it gamboge, but this would be like a cat. In the art world, this is cadmium yellow. So let's not get caught up in the names. Let's look at how to identify that this warm color can lean cool or warm. So I put this together to show it. So let me change this. So, and I'll share this with you. So how do you identify a cool color of yellow that's cool? Yellow's warm color, right? Yes, but it can also be cool. So I have this and I'll share this with you. Here's a comparison. The values are about the same. Warm and cool doesn't matter if it's dark or light. The value doesn't have anything to do with it. And it doesn't matter how bright it is. It could be bright or dull. But so looking at two colors of yellow, one is cool, kind of like lemons could be a cooler yellow, and one is warm. Bananas could be warmer. So a paint name for this would be a cad lemon yellow, and a paint name for this would be a cad yellow medium. Those are the marketing manufacturer names. And in the Langnickel world, oh, just did something I didn't want to do that. In the Langnickel world, the cool is Langnickel, the cool is lemon, and the warm is gamboge. So when you look at these two colors, this one feels like the sun. It feels warmer like the sun, where the lemon, it feels cooler. And you can see that I've got examples here. When you look at these two, this one's a little bit warm, but see how that's a little bit cooler here? And we're looking for it at digital, so it's a little bit more difficult, but warm yellow leans a little bit in towards the orange. So the ingredients, when they make this tube of paint, they mix a little bit, something that makes it a cool yellow, a little bit oranger towards the orange family, and that's how you get the warm color. So what happens, and just like with the reds, on our reds, let's see, the scarlet red is a little bit warmer, and the rose red is a little bit cooler. And you can see warm reds are that brick barns, that orangey red. And then the cool red has some, when you buy it, they have something that a little bit of the blue is mixed into it to lean it to the cool. But you have to buy those tubes of paint to get a warm yellow, warm red, and warm blue. Okay. Now, what about mixing? So on here on this chart, if I have a red and I want to make it a warm red, I add a little bit of yellow so that I have a warm red. If I have a red and I want to make it a little bit cooler, I add a little bit of the blue. If I want a purple, I'm mixing a purple and I want a little bit warmer, I have more red, less blue. And if I want it to be cooler, I have more blue, less red. Okay. Blue is green is blue and yellow mix. So if I want it to be warmer, I add more yellow. And if I want it to be cooler, like a turquoise, then I add more blue. And then same with the orange. If I have an orange, and this is orange. Orange is a funny animal. So I buy orange because when you mix it, it's never as intense as coming straight from the tube. So I mean, it's a warm color. It's mixing with two warms, right? So orange, we'll let orange go. Orange wants to be by itself. So let's look. I've got this photograph here, and let's take a peek at it. That shows I've got this. We're going to take a look at it so that you can see in a landscape how you can see the cool and the warm greens. We're going to focus on greens. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to take a peek at this photograph. And I took this in Seattle. It was just a beautiful walking path with the cedars. It was just gorgeous. And some of the, let's see, trying to get it so that you can see it. And I'll share this in the group for you all to see. There we go. All right. So when I'm looking at greens, I'm going to look at this green right here, and you can see it on the computer on your screen. This green right here compared to this green over here. Yes, there is a value difference, but when you squint, you can see that this color and this color are about similar in value. And when I isolate the color like this, when I isolate these two colors, this one and this one, you can see that this one is warmer. When I isolate this yellow color right here, let's see, where's it? A cool color. Oh, this one. And when you start isolating, you can see that this one is a little bit warmer and this one's a little bit cooler. This green right here is very cool. And when you compare distant greens like this, I'm moving this around a lot. This green back here, it's in the distance and it's a green, but it's very light and grayed down. This green, this yellow green right here is very warm and bright. It's a lot more saturated in color. This is grayed down. And now I'm talking about chroma, which is another word that we use in to describe color. We'll talk about that later, not this class. But do you see when you start moving comparing one color to another one, this one's warmer, this one's cooler. And It's just a subtle shift. The colors up here are warmer. The colors back here are cooler. What happens with color, the reason that this is so grayed down is we're looking through a filter of water. And as you're looking through a filter of water, the water droplets in the air reflect the sky. So we're basically have a filter of blue that we're looking through when we look at the distance. So yes, those trees in the distance are as bright as the ones close. Yes, that's true. But because we're looking through a veil, especially with this water here, and Seattle's very wet, and because we're looking through this veil of water that's reflecting the blue sky, that's why the distant greens look grayer, a little bit grayer, or the chroma, they're not as intense color. And so right here, this is a good example. This is very close to us. It looks very warm. Um, not all color, and not all color is warm when it's close, but this, because the sun's hitting it and it's not influenced by the sky, it's warm. Out here, it's the sun's hitting it, but it's influenced by the sky. It's a little bit cooler. So let's talk about how to mix, and I'll share all this with you in the group. I'll post in the group so that you can find it and email it so that you can see it. So let's talk about this, a quick mixing. So what I'm going to do is on our color wheel, this is basically our color wheel right here. We have the reds, the orange, said that wrong. We have the yellows, the orange, the reds, purple, blue, and then green, which if this were connected would lead us back to the yellow. So you have a color wheel right here in front of you. And the way we have it set up, and when I made my strip, I didn't go full strength color, I added some water. And when you make your strip, you want to make sure each time you dip into a paint and make your mark, you want to clean your brush very well, and you want to pull out the water. You want a clean brush, okay? So anytime you paint, you want to make sure your brush is clean. Because if you have paint on your brush, if you have paint on the brush, it's going to influence or impact the paint on your painting. So you won't get clean color. Now, we're not spending a lot of time on mixing color because when we start mixing color, it can get muddy very quick. And that's just one more element. We've got the brush, the paper, the paint, and the dry time. We've got a lot of elements moving forward. So that's why we're all working with the same paints, all working with the same palette, and pretty much painting straight from the tube. And that's how you get really bright paintings. And when your paintings are looking dull, you either have too much water, you're using stained water, you're not using enough paint, or the second thing is you're mixing too many colors. You're putting too many colors and you're mixing mud, or you're overworking, you put a color down and then you put another color on top, and that wet color on top will reactivate the color underneath it, and then you start mixing mud on your paper. Okay, so for now, we're really working with and just straight from the tube. And as getting into just putting our tippy toes into mixing color, we're going to influence or move the greens. So what does that mean? So I'm just going to look at these two greens, and we've identified that the sap green is the warm green, and I don't even remember the other green. I don't remember the name of it. deep green. And the deep green is a cool. Yes, one's lighter and one's darker. But when you look at it, and temperature has nothing to do with value. But when you look at it, this feels warmer. It feels warmer. Okay. It feels cooler. So you're kind of leaning into that intuition, what feels right, what feels warm, and what feels cool. And this is a new concept for a lot of you. So if you if you feel uncomfortable with it, you're learning something new, right? All right, I'm gonna take this straight from the tube, warm green. And I have you mix these because when you look at it here, it's really difficult to see what color you're working with, especially like these two. I don't even know what color those are. But when you put it on your palette and you add some water, here, I'll grab some of this too. Here. So I'm going to put them next to each other. This is the cool green. This is the warm green. The more paint, the darker the color. So can you see that? This one is cooler. This is a cool green, the deep green. This one feels closer to blue. This one feels closer to yellow. You see the shift there? You can see it here too. Let me put some of this over here. You see how this feels more blue or turquoisey? This one feels warm. Are limes? I'm not sure. You have a lime in your fridge, look at it. Look at it and see if you sometimes they can be warm or cool. Check out your fridge and see what you got. Okay, so what we're doing right now, if I just work straight from the tube, color, sometimes you get like a Gumby effect. It doesn't look natural. It's too bright. That's the warm green, especially that one. It doesn't look like nature. So what we can do, I'll start with the warm green, the sap green. What we can do is we could start to influence it, to shift it. And there's a couple ways that we can do this. I'm going to put enough out here to so I've got a nice little pile. Always clean your brush, especially when you go into the yellows. I'm going to pull some. I'm going to pull some of this over here. So I'm going to get more. And then I'm going to add some yellow to it. So when I add yellow to the warm green, it looks like that. Cool yellow, lemon yellow, to the warm green, it looks like this. So this is a warm green, and this is cool yellow. So now I'm going to move it. I'm going to add some warm yellow to the right of the sap green. and I didn't wet this paint very well. And the problem with that, I'm not getting the actual color of the paint. There we go. So now this is a warm yellow, and I'm going to pull some over here into the mix. And that's warm green. If it's a little bit too yellow, you can darken a little bit. Yeah. So it makes the warm green warmer by adding warm yellow. So I'm taking the on this palette, comparing this color to this color. On my palette, that's my warm green on this palette with these paints. This is a warm green compared to that. I can make it cooler by adding the cool yellow, or I can make it warmer by adding the warm yellow. Now I have, if I mix puddles of color when I'm painting, I can have a cool yellow and a warm yellow using this one green. So let's see what happens when I do this. So you try, you play, okay? I encourage you. I encourage you to play. And at first, if it gets messy, just, it's okay. It can get confusing. Trust me. Been there. I've done that. So I've been dipping in the green, so I want to clean it. And clean brush, clean paint. I'm going to put the lemon yellow or the cool yellow over here, just like I did here. And I'm going to get some paint out there. Yellow is a very light color, and it's very transparent, and it takes a lot of yellow. So when you mix it with green, you want a little tiny bit of green and a lot of yellow. Okay, so this is the cool green. Work in pencil. And this is a cool yellow. And that's, we talked cool yellow is lemon. And the warm is gamboge in this maker. There we go. So that's the color that we get by adding cool green, which I see these colors, that's a really pretty color. It's interesting, isn't it? How the warm green plus the cool yellow is actually a little bit cooler than the cool green. Do you see it? Cool green, cool yellow makes a warmer. See, color can be complicated. And then I'm not going to use this paint right here. It's a dirty yellow, so I don't want to mix with that. I want to keep it clean. So now on this side, I'm going to add here's the cool green, the deep green. This side, I added the cool yellow. I pulled them together to get a little mix. Now I'm going to add warm yellow over here. And then I'm going to pull some of this color in, the green, cool green. And then I'm going to do this. So look how warm. Okay, so isn't that interesting? Let's look at the samples. Look how warm that green is. That's a cool green, warm yellow. Makes this really nice, really warm, grassy green. So when I'm out on the field and I'm looking at a sunlit, grassy green, I would, when I go to mix it, I see it, it's warm, a warm, grassy green. I know to take the cool green plus the warm yellow. I'll know that that's what it takes to mix that color. I don't want to think, I don't have the tubes with me. I only have the palette. And I don't need to know the names. Now I know that the cool green plus warm yellow makes that color. And if I want, sometimes when the light hits the trees, um, the leaves, and it's this like bright spearminty color, you'll see it. Look at your trees, and you'll see this color. Well, now you know, oh, I need the cool yellow plus a warm green. So I know to mix this color with this. Does it make sense? No. But to get this color mix, I know to use this and this now. And this is how you get familiar with your palette and with your colors. And this is how I see. So when I'm out there painting nature and I'm looking at trees and grass and bushes and distant trees, I don't think, ooh, that's a turquoise, that's a lime, I don't name it. I say, okay, what color am I looking at? Green. All right. On the leaves, the grass in shadow, is it warm? Is it cool? Is it dark? Is it light? It's in the green family, but what is it? Then, just like a scientist, I start identifying, is it warm? Is it cool? And then if you play with your palette and you make up these mixes, and this is more advanced. This is more advanced for another class. But play with your greens. And I encourage you to do that because when you start understanding warm and cool, all of a sudden when you look at greens in the world, it's going to be, you're going to like, you just woke up. Once you can understand that green isn't just green. Green can be warm and it can be cool. And with this palette of paint, just this palette, these colors, not every manufacturer, not all paints are alike. It's very fluid. It takes to get a bright, cool green. I need these two, the warm color, the warm green, sap green, and deep green, I think, cool green. Play with your colors. And for this class, for okay, I'm just gonna next lesson will be on how to make colorful blacks, not this one. I want to keep this clean for you. So for this class, it it really, we're not really focusing on, we're just dipping our toes into shifting color. Okay. The main thing is just get yourself, try to see the warm and cool on your palette. So that when I'm like, when we paint poppies, I'll be saying use a warm color, the warm red, and then underneath you're going to add a shadow. So we're just going to use the cool red, okay? And in the grasses, I'm going to say just mix up a variety of greens and put some warm here and put some cool there and just play. So in this class, we're just dipping our toes in the greens, and how do you shift them to get a variety of greens? And we're taking straight from the tube a green, and then we're influencing it with yellows. We're not even talking about blues. We're just taking a straight from the tube green and then adding a cool yellow or warm yellow. So we're going to keep it nice and simple. And I'll share all this with you all. Enjoy, have fun. And watercolor, honestly, let's dispel that idea of watercolor is hard. It's not. Because when I was painting those brushes and I had nice full, I'm like, I am drawing with a brush. And I can look at that Russian teacher, that professional watercolorist. His watercolors are so nice. And I can go up to him and say, hey, I know how to use a brush now, right? And just allowing yourself, you're basically drawing with a brush and allowing yourself to have fun. It is. It's easy. It really is. Trust me. Enjoy. Go outside. Pick up some leaves. Bring them inside. I'm not even asking you to sit outside. If you want, take your lawn chair and play. And just get a leaf and use the methods that you learned in class. Grab your variety of brushes and play and have fun. And be sure to share what you're doing because I like to see where y'all are at. It helps me know where to go with the class. Enjoy.